So ultimately, what I would say to you is that this goes back to something I've been stating since the very beginning, that you cannot disconnect relationships from the wealth building process. I think that a person who is a master of relationships is 9 times out of 10 going to do better from an economic standpoint than a person who isn't good at relationships. And the thing about relationships is that relationships are heavily impacted by trauma and how much trauma you've experienced and how much of that trauma you've healed from. If you are a highly traumatized person who has not healed from the trauma, then you're going to have a hard time forming relationships because you don't trust anybody. So when you, or at the very least, when you have relationships, you're going to run away as soon as something goes wrong. You won't have the resilience to stick with it because you're so afraid of being hurt again. So next thing you know, you're doing everything by yourself, which is going to make things harder for you economically. So dual income, no kids. Apparently, they tend to be doing the best financially, but at the same time, I'm not a big fan of. I told you, if I, well, how about this? If I could do it all over again, I wouldn't have been the guy who was trying to have no kids. I would have had all the kids. I would have had like 6 or 7. I would have raised them on some farm somewhere, homeschooled them, and got them ready to run the family business. But I'm 53 now, and I ain't trying to have no kids right now. And my wife has 3 kids that I love to death, so that's enough. One of them actually works with me in my business. In fact, if you order my book, she's actually the one that's going to ship it to you. So I love the kids, and it's an awesome experience. But long story short, I will tell you to consider that when you're talking about building wealth, you have to find your buddies, find your teammates, find your partners. And if you do it the right way and everybody knows how to treat each other properly and everybody knows what their responsibility is, you will find that the things that used to be hard suddenly become easy because when you come together as a group, you're not just supporting each other. You're bringing resources together. You're bringing together money. You're bringing together contacts. You're bringing together expertise. You're bringing together all kinds of things that can create an environment where money will grow. A lot of times, starting an economic fire is like starting a campfire. If you just kind of rub the sticks together and blow on it and create the space for a fire to grow, then the fire will grow and it can become a forest fire, right? So imagine if you start off with a tiny spark and something kind of lights up and you kind of nurture the spark and it grows and grows and grows. And then let's say that a wind comes by and or whatever, and you got a lot of brush around. Well, that fire can really grow. That's because you're in an environment where there is lots of space for that fire to grow. There's lots of energy that will make that fire grow. The elements are right to make a fire grow. So that's what you really want. But if you imagine that same space where maybe it's raining really hard and the fire's not getting in the air, then nothing's going to spark, nothing's going to burn, nothing's going to grow, right? So ultimately, what you want to do is when you're thinking about building your economics, you have to ask yourself a really important question. Have I created and participated in an environment that's going to allow economic possibilities to grow and to exist? Are you even in the right environment? It's like if I want to get together with my wife and make a baby, which we're not going to do, but if we did, and I say, great, let's go down to the coal mine and let's go lay down in the mud and let's make a baby in the mud in the coal mine. What do you think my wife's going to say? And let's say it's 10 degrees outside. Is that the right environment for us to create life? Am I going to light the spark in that environment? No, I'm not. I'm not. Right? I'd have to create the right environment. I have to create a romantic space, fancy hotel, flowers and rose petals all over the bed, play some Luther Vandross or something, right? Turn the lights down, right? You create the space.